Kitguru is with Shenzhen Fluence Technology PLC, as per the board there. And that might not be a name that means much to you. And truth be told, it didn't mean much to me until a couple of months ago. They trade as PC Cooler. And the thing is, if you search for PC Cooler, you'll find an awful lot of PC coolers. When you look at these products, you might think they look familiar. Does this not look, for example, somewhat like the Deepcool Assassin? It turns out that Shenzhen Fluence is a couple of years older than Deepcool. However, the people at the two companies know each other quite well, and very often will move between the two companies. It's not quite fair to say they have a certain DNA connection, but there is a visual link in my mind. And that cooler there, the RZ or RZ820 on the end, is a copper-based air tower that's rated up to 290 watts TDP. I'll pop off the top cover. And you can imagine pulling out the fan, releasing the screws, and away you go. Obviously we have a bit of RGB on the go, but that is an approach we have seen before. This RZ820X next to it is exactly the same cooler, it's just missing the fan there, so one fan in the middle. Moving along the line, we have a twin tower cooler called the RT620, which is rated at 265 watts. But the more interesting version to the left is the RT620 Digital. We can see on top of the cooler it has a temperature readout, and behind that there's a laptop which is running the software from CPS, which is controlling the shooting match. Very nice to see that in action. Those four coolers all have copper bases, however the RZ400 has direct contact heat pipes on the base. It's a different approach, but of course you can't see that from this angle. It's rated at 245 watts and has a single 120mm fan. That's quite an impressive specification for a cooler that has a fan running up to 2200 RPM. The RT400 is even smaller, but that supports a TDP of up to 235 watts, has a single fan up to 2200 RPM once again. All these coolers seem like they have a very solid place in many PC builds. Moving on from tower coolers, we have two downdraft coolers. The RC453, which is a slightly batty name, has a single fan, 90mm, and it's rated 160 watts. But the RC667 is rated at 205 watts. That has a fan running at 2200 RPM, and where you expect to find a downdraft cooler generally used in a small form factor chassis with minimal performance, in this instance you appear to be getting the best of both worlds. That's impressive to see. Then we have a row of coolers intended for servers and such like. Behind those coolers we have a power supply, the YS1200. The OEM there is Seasonic. That is apparently a Vertex in a different guise. And above that we have a small form factor case. The K101 Mesh, you can see where it gets the mesh name from, and let's pull off the panel, shall we? That's the third time today I've done that. Priced at $99 to $109, you've got a single fan in the floor, and the central spine that's used for mounting the hardware is fixed in position. You cannot move it left and right to vary the size of the two chambers. Looks interesting. Now, Matt does not like the handle on this case. I don't mind it. Please put your comments under the video. The mini PC, which looks a bit like an Intel NUC, is for industrial purposes. It's not for retail sales, so we don't expect to see that at any point. And below that we have a C3 case, which is made by Shenzhen. However, the glass is made by a subcontractor. They are more in the metal bashing side of things rather than glass, which is a wholly different discipline. Looks impressive. However, we have to wonder, as always, with airflow. But when you look, you can see side-mounted cooling, floor-mounted cooling, rear cooling, and there is indeed an AIO in the roof of the case. So they seem to have that side of things well covered. And then we come to fans. And of these various fans, this F9R120, going to put a finger on it, listen for the shrieks. There we go. This is an interesting fella. Let it go, see if it starts up again. It has a switch on the hub which controls the 3 speed modes. So the lowest mode is 500 to 1500, the middle mode 500 to 2150, the fastest mode 500 to 3000. Where things get extra interesting, apart from the size of the enormous motor, is that apparently this 30mm thick fan can sense back pressure. If the fan detects resistance, instead of slowing down, it will maintain its speed, and I have no idea how that might be a thing. I desperately want to get this fan on the test bench and see how it operates. And now we come to an array of AIO coolers. This DT360 is the one that's of particular interest to me. It has an LCD, which is obviously USB controlled, over the pump body, which has a simple RGB in it. Plop that back in place. This DT360 has a TDP rating of 320 watts. It's not does it only look the part, it's making an impressive claim to its cooling abilities. And we move down the line and we have a couple of other coolers which look very conventional. One with temperature display on the pump body controlled by their own software. And the end of the line we have the DA240 ARGB, which is obviously a 2-fan setup which has an infinity mirror on the pump body. And as it reflects like crazy, you're probably now getting a lovely view of Matt. We're signing off with Shenzhen Fluence at CES 2025. It's a small booth, but it's an impressive array of products. Looking forward to getting some of these on review in 2025. Remember, it's kitguru.net on the web, and we're on TikTok.